Hi, I'm Manda McKay. I'm a professional artist and I'm making these videos to give you tips to help enhance your creativity. And these videos are meant to help anybody regardless of their level of expertise. So even if you're a beginner just starting out with a creative hobby, these tips are for everyone. What I'm going to talk about today is an identity shift. Now, if you've been paying attention to anything self-help related, you've probably heard about the concept of if you want to make a big change in your life that you have to think of yourself as a different kind of person. Basically, think of yourself as the sort of person who would be making that kind of change. So like, for example, if you want to lose weight, maybe right now you're thinking of yourself as being a person who hates to exercise and you just only want to eat junk, you don't want to eat salads, whatever. So the identity shift in that case would be that you start to think of yourself as the kind of person who loves to exercise and who loves to eat vegetables or whatever. And only by making this identity shift can you really make lasting change, according to the self-help experts, but it does kind of make sense to me, because if you still believe that you're a person that hates exercise, you might be able to force yourself to go to the gym for a while, but then you'll probably give up on it before long. And the same thing, you might be able to diet for a while, and then your old habits are more likely to come back. Luckily, I think it'll be way easier to have yourself, to think of yourself as being a creative person. And to make that kind of an identity shift. So I've made a video before that was about, is creative a noun, where I talk about how some people are considered creatives, and and then that makes it seem like everybody else is not a creative person. But I think that the word creative should not be a noun, that everybody is a creative person just by nature. And it is something that takes practice and you can get better at it. So when I talk about having an identity shift, I mean, you need to start thinking of yourself as being a creative person and then look for evidence that supports that. Now, I can't really give you an example from my own life of having not thought of myself as a creative person and having to make this identity shift. My mom started giving me art lessons when I was probably 2 years old, so I grew up just thinking of myself as an artist and therefore as a creative person. But I can give you an example recently where I did have to make an identity shift and it did work. So I decided earlier this month that I was going to make a book featuring my artwork. And normally a project like this might take a long time, but I wanted to be able to do it where it was just super fast and just done in a weekend. And I was trying to convince myself that I was a person who could get work done quickly. And sure enough, I did. I managed to, in just one day, and I mean, I wasn't having to write a lot to begin with, because basically I was going to just pick like 20 paintings of mine, and I just had to track down the images and put them into a document, and then I had the artist statements for them and the dimensions and things like that. So it was really, at this point, just copy and paste, and I was going to publish with Amazon Self-Publishing. And I knew that the book, like, that it was going to require different edits because I was doing it that fast, but I figured it was, 95% there. And then, of course, I tried to upload it and found out that for a hardcover book, I had to just about double the length of the book. And that was discouraging. That was in the evening, but I got up the next morning and I told myself, okay, I already showed that I can work fast, so I'm going to make all these new changes, add in the new artwork, and be done by noon. And I did wind up having to write a lot of statements, just short 2-paragraph statements about each piece, because I was getting into a lot of older works where I hadn't already done that. So this time it wasn't copy and paste, but I told myself that I started work at maybe 8 o'clock, and I told myself that I was going to be done by noon, and that I could do this, that I had already proven it the day before, and now I was just having to make the book longer than I thought I was going to. And it worked. Sure enough, it worked, and I got the proof back a few days ago, and I did have to make edits to it. But my point is just being able to tell myself that, yes, I'm a person who can work fast with something like this. It really did work. So what if you're then trying to see yourself as a creative person? I think this is a lot easier probably than trying to go from being a couch potato to telling yourself like, oh, I love fitness, I love healthy eating, whatever. Basically, I'm sure that whatever your lifestyle is, whatever your normal day-to-day existence is like, every day I'm sure there's at least one, even a very, very small creative decision that you make, and it doesn't have to be a great idea. It doesn't have to be something that you would use ever again, but I want you to start collecting evidence that you do have a lot of creativity inside of you. So for example, if you normally go to get some kind of a coffee drink and you have it at a restaurant and you have it prepared a certain way, maybe this morning you decided to mix it up and try something different that you never tried before. And maybe it was good and maybe it wasn't. But the point is you at least tried something new. That would be an example of being a creative person. So you just need to start paying attention to this kind of thing and collecting evidence that you are creative. And the more that you pay attention to this kind of thing and the more you're looking for this, then the more you'll start to notice where you are coming up with creative decisions. And again, like the coffee example, it doesn't have to be related to your creative practice. Just anything day to day that gives you kind of proof that yes, you are a creative person. And of course, this will have kind of a snowball effect, because the more that you see yourself that way, the more you'll become that way. And as you're looking for it and understanding like, okay, even this tiny thing was me being creative, then you'll start to notice more. And it's especially helpful in the early stages if you can keep a list of some sort, whether a physical list or on your phone, just whatever, that you can refer back to, and you're saying like, okay, there are all these times, in this past week, there are at least 10 times that I actually was being creative. And so once you start, as I said, looking for evidence and looking for proof that you are a creative person, then you're going to be able to find it. And it's going to get easier and easier to think of yourself that way. And then you'll be able to apply that to your creative practice. And maybe you're already finding, as you're working on your creative practice, that you're already being very creative in that aspect. But even if you don't think you are, like I said, just looking for your everyday life, looking for examples, this is going to help you have this identity shift where now you say that I am a creative person. And I really, really hope that this tip is helpful to you. I really think that the world would be a better place if everybody just understood that they are creative and that they are capable of original thought and capable of creating artwork or whatever your creative hobby is to share with the rest of us. It's a way that all of us wind up benefiting the more people see themselves this way. So again, I hope you found this useful. Let me know in the comments. And again, my name is Manda McKay, and thank you so much for watching.